Hello everyone, welcome back to Lab4crypto. Bitcoin now is surging, is at almost 97k, something we anticipate, and I got many requests from you guys to update you about the current risk level of Bitcoin. And through this video, I wanted to first show you the Bitcoin risk, the current risk compared to when we called that it was a good time to accumulate. What I am projecting will happen in May and also in the summer. Of course, I'm going to speak a little bit about the call that I made about gold and Bitcoin recently. And also I will speak a little bit about Ethereum. If you like the content, please give us a thumbs up and leave a comment, as that helps us a lot. And let's dive in immediately. So for people that they don't know, recently on April 8th, so almost a month ago, when everybody was panicking that Bitcoin was going to go to even 50k, 60k, and they were saying that the bear market has started, I have made this Twitter post, and of course people in the Telegram Premium know that I even accumulated at this level. But on Twitter, you will see that I said that at 78k, the risk level of Bitcoin to basically go to much lower value was only 29%, which historically was a very good level to accumulate, especially if you are in a bull run. And fast forward, of course, Bitcoin is at now, let me check. It's now at 96.8k. And the current level of Bitcoin, of course, it increased. So when I made the call was, let me see. Yeah, for example, April 7th, the current risk of Bitcoin was 29.4% at a price of 79k. And currently we are at 47.49 at the 96.4k. This is the closing price of each day. That's why you see May 1st, and today that I'm recording the video is May 2. So tonight at midnight, you will see the risk being updated. But definitely we have reached levels which are closer to 50%, which usually what I'm doing is when we go above 50%, I start exiting a little bit. I'm taking some profits as we move to closer to 80 to 100k. I get this question a lot, is if it's a good time to accumulate Bitcoin now, if it's not, what is my projection about the cycle peak? And in short, I will tell you what I think. It depends on your current position and your risk tolerance. For example, if you have no position in Bitcoin and based at least on the calculations that I made on various models, but here I'm going to use the, let's say, use the price power law model. If we expect that the top of Bitcoin will happen at the end of this year or the beginning of the next one, because I think at least on the Q2, Q3, Q4 of 2026, I expect that we're going to have a major crash. But of course, this is my opinion and not financial advice. But with the upcoming end of the QT and the start of the QE with various ways from various central banks around the world, I expect that we're going to move to much higher prices. And that is why you see a lot of people using the M2 money supply to project the price that Bitcoin will reach, which it makes sense because when they turn on the money printer, assets tend to get higher valuations. But that is not forever. That is why it's important for you to manage your risk. And I will explain, and I will say a bit more on this when I come to gold BTC ratio. So for example, if we assume that it will happen between December to March, let's say, so if we see that usually Bitcoin goes above its 2 standard deviation line, and what I mean by that, you'll see that Bitcoin tends to go above its two standard deviation line when we are in the bubble phase. So when we deviate from the power law and we enter the exponential phase. But each time we come closer and closer to the two standard deviation line. So if we assume that this time we are not going to manage to surpass it, only we are going to touch it or get close to it. So the blue line comes closer and closer to the green line. The top, let's say if it happens between December and January, February, we can go between, let's say 190 to 205, 210. So for you now, Bitcoin has a 2x left in it, which I know it's a really good projected return, but it depends on your goals. For now, Bitcoin is the only asset that is in a bull run basically from the total crypto market cap. I think we're gonna have an altcoin season, but not when people want. It's gonna be a time when that happens. So when this red line will move again close to the purple line, then you will have your altcoin season, or at least have signs that the altcoin season is started when this red line start to move at least to the middle of the altcoin season and have an angle which have a slope, let's say, which is going to move above the purple line if you want to increase your risk tolerance. Excuse me. So for now, it's clear that we are in a Bitcoin season. So in short, when the red line is below the green line, you are better off holding Bitcoin instead of altcoins. And basically that one is just we take the ROI from the top 50 coins, excluding stable coins, and we compare them with Bitcoin. And what we see is that Bitcoin had a better returns for the last 90 days compared to altcoins. Moving on, as I said, Bitcoin risk is increasing, and we see the same slope almost when the one that we had in November, December, and I'm closely keep an eye on it, but it's better to DCA in steps. I have a video which you can click below and you will see some strategies that I use. But in short, I like to dynamically exit the market as we move to higher bands and dynamically accumulate when we are at lower bands. What I said also lately in my X account, let me show you, is that the current run, the difference of this run compared to the previous one is that it's driven by institutions and not retail. And an easy way to see how we have been able to move above the bull market support band lately is without retail investors. You will see that retail basically has not joined the market yet. So you'll see that Google Trends is almost at all-time lows, and the interest and the people which are keeping the price of Bitcoin to higher values are mostly institutions, let's say whales, and ETFs. We have a strong accumulation from ETFs, and that is obvious. If we go to the total holdings, for example, of BlackRock, you'll see this huge increase lately from April 22nd until the April 13th, for example. We had a big price increase on the inflows from the ETFs. So moving forward, on April 1st, when I did the equation that describes the power law growth of Bitcoin compared to gold, what I noticed is that when the blue line touches the -2 standard deviation line, which acts as support, that means that usually then Bitcoin will start to outperform gold. So in short, what it means, when the blue line, which on April 1st was almost touching the black line, the dotted black line, that means that I was expecting Bitcoin to start to outperform gold. And for example, if we go and check what happened the last 2 weeks, let's say, Just a moment. Yeah, look at that. Bitcoin has outperformed gold by 23.71% when it touched the minus two standard deviation. So that is why I say to people it's much easier to navigate the market with quant analysis because it's more clearer in my view. At least is what I understand best and make informed decisions when you are making any calls. When I published that on X, people didn't like that much, especially gold maxis. But it is what it is. I'm saying what I'm showing what I'm seeing on the graphs, and also I'm showing the equations that you can actually do at home and be able to verify what I'm saying. Also, what I have done lately on April 8th, I published that my bottom range indicator for Ethereum have touched the orange line, which historically this line at the time the price was 1,560, that it was a good time to start thinking the Ethereum play after 3 years. For people that following our channel, they know that I had zero Ethereum until now, but at this level, it was a good time to start accumulating. And this is what I publicly also said in my Twitter account. And of course, you can access the model as always from our website. And for example, see how beautifully Ethereum bounced on the minus one standard deviation line for how many days? From April 7th to April 22nd. So you had plenty of time to get some if you wanted. And already you can start seeing Ethereum starting to move to its fair value fit, which is the red line. If you want me to keep you posted on this, just leave me a comment. I will try to post more on my Twitter and also make a video on it. Now, this is the post, that I made on Twitter about the risk of Bitcoin. And also lately, because again, people were panicking, I wanted to share this graph and say that basically, if we take the previous cycle peak with the current one and compare Bitcoin with previous cycles, you will see that if we compare it from peak to peak, which is the red line on the current cycle, we are not far away from the previous cycles. But if we compare it from the life cycle bottom to this one, you will see that we are underperforming. And that is something that does not make me worried at all, because imagine we have one of the major changes in the economy from the US, for example, which they change the way that people are trading. And that, of course, is going to bring some uncertainty into the markets. And therefore, people are going to not feel comfortable allocating capital to assets if they're not sure about the future of the economy. So it's something that on the one hand, if we keep staying at this level and Bitcoin is hovering above its bull market support band for the next couple of months, that would be awesome, to be honest. And I think we're gonna set us for a really good run at the end of the year. Currently, the bull market support band, let's say the upper band is at 91.8, for example, on the weekly candles. So I expect Bitcoin to close hopefully this week above this. And as we enter May, I think we are going to move closer to the 100K region. We're going to try to fight it because it's a psychological level. And even better scenario will be to even make a new all-time high, so go above 109K. And then possibly we are going to come and test the bull market support band as we move into summer. Because usually summer is a weak period, and it aligns also with the 90-day pause from the US. So when we get closer and closer to the deadline for the deals about the trades, I think the market is going to be a bit uncomfortable if there's no any signs that they're going to have a good deals around the world regarding trades. So I expect some weakness at that period. But because it's something that is based on news basically and something that we don't control, it's better to have in mind that there is a scenario that things can go bad, and therefore it's good for you to have some capital on the side to take advantage of any dips. Of course, again, it's not financial advice. This is how I navigate the market, but I expect that it's not going to be an easy answer, let's say, from all the countries around the world about what they're going to think about the trades. And therefore, it's good to have some dry power on the side and be able to step in if you want. Because do not forget that the global liquidity is increasing. The Fed rate cuts is projected to be 3 plus this year. So this is going to help a lot people to reduce the burden that they have each month from their installments, from their mortgages, from their loans, and so on. And that usually it's really good for risky assets, which is Bitcoin and altcoins. And it's good for you to take advantage of this scenario. Of course, it's good to DCA, as I said. That is why we took the advantage and we accumulated on 80, on 83K. And you can see that also on our free blog, which you can check it on our website, which I share each week my thoughts about the market, but also in Telegram Premium, which I share exactly what I'm doing. If someone wants to have a perspective of my perspective on the market. And do we have anything else that I want to say? No, basically to close up, I wanted to say that Bitcoin risk now is moving closer to the 50% range, which usually is a place for me to start taking some profits, not a lot, because I am dynamically taking profits. So as it moves to higher percentages, I'm taking much more out of the table. But for now, we are at 47.49, which it's close. So probably I will start taking some. But as I said, I think Bitcoin will reach 180 to 200K easily, in my opinion, by the end of this year or the beginning of the next one. Therefore, you need to have a plan. And as always, my plan has not changed at all for the last 3 years. It's better to be heavy on BTC. And when we have signs that there is an altcoin season, you can rotate capital to the few select altcoins that you believe that they're going to have a good market share when the altcoin season is going to come. And this is basically all you need. You don't have to make panic moves each time. I know it's difficult. Basically, on March and April, the March and the last March and April, if you didn't had a strong understanding of the market, you probably sold already. You saw major accounts, major influencers saying that Bitcoin is going to move at the best case scenario sideways, or it's going to go down. We have entered a bear market. There is a crash. And basically, I was the only one with a selection of a few others that were saying that we don't see that on the data. Bitcoin will move higher. We even accumulated. We even posted that when everybody was posting the opposite, and you can find everything on my X account as well, but also on our platform, which we have thousands of graphs which I use every day to make basically my decision making for my own portfolio, because I am like 90% in on the crypto market. So it's something that I deeply care about. Is that not only from the platform, but because I'm care about my own capital. And it's something that I'm sharing with you, my road, my journey as I navigate the market. And if you think that you are going to have value on the altcoins that we support and Bitcoin with unique models that you cannot find anywhere else. For example, this series metric is something you cannot find anywhere else. I have built it in this from scratch. It took me almost a year to build. And you'll see it did an amazing job even lately with the top of the market before we dropped to 74. So on November 24, Bitcoin risk was almost 77% and 98K basically. And then dropped when I accumulated again, which basically is what you want, right? So I hope you will find some value in it. And if you like the content, please give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Until next time, bye bye.